All right. Welcome to another episode of Odd Pairing. I am Paige, and I'm with my lovely co-host, Natasha.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Today was kind of a really worky type. Is that a word, worky? Today was a really worky day. So I am so ready to drink. It's not even funny.
Well, we've got some beverages. If anybody's watching can see in the background.
Yeah, we have
put together quite a collection.
We're thirsty. There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with a little thirst.
It's summer. Yeah. It's summer now.
Yeah.
Hydration. It is. It's ready to.
Yeah.
We're ready to start.
We're ready.
So today, our guest is my dear friend, Jill Olesh from Pizza Port
Thanks
Brewing.
for having me. So nice to be here. Can't wait to drink and chat with you.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
So Jill and I have known each other for,
oh my gosh,
probably over 10 years now, with both of us working in the beer industry. And then when she was the president of the Brewers Guild, we worked extremely close together. And
if we didn't call each other like, oh my gosh, did you hear blah, 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 at least like twice a day for a good,
it was like
a year and a half.
Daily phone calls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that helped our friendship.
Yeah.
And so before we get started and getting into our topic for today, it is time for a cheers. So we are going to grab the honey.
Hey, crack it open in the mic so they can hear it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That sounds like just like the end of a
Fresh.
long day.
It does.
Or the beginning of summer.
of a new one.
Or that.
There it is.
Or the beginning of a new one. Who knows?
So while she's pouring that and we're getting ready for our cheers, today we're going to be talking about gateway beers for non-beer drinkers. So Natasha recently talked to us about how she avoids beer. So
like the plague.
Yes, so that is why
You just haven't found a beer that you love yet.
Pretty much.
There's a beer out there.
That's why I'm so
everyone.
excited about this, because it kind of puts me into a different bracket right now.
A lot of pressure.
Of like,
though.
yeah, it is. Yeah. It is for you.
And Paige.
I hope we brought some good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I brought two of the beers we'll be tasting today are two of my gateway beers. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail as we go on. But let's go ahead and do our cheers. Here we go.
It's a great episode.
Cheers.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
It's a good start. Yes.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
The bees are happy.
The bees are happy.
Listen to that buzz.
That's not bad at all. So yeah, when it comes to beer, I'm gonna just do a small little story, okay, about like why.
So excited.
Why? Because a lot of stuff that we don't like or don't do is because of trauma,
Right?
In some shape, form, or fashion, right? So my trauma was a funny one, and it was something I shouldn't have been doing, but I did it anyway.
Gosh.
So my dad used to drink beer, and he used to smoke. So he had I think it was like a tall can of something. I don't know what it was. Probably was like a Budweiser or Light or something. And he would smoke the cigarette and let it out in the beer.
I see where this is
So here I am, a child.
I was going to say, how old?
I had to be around maybe 6 or 7. But I remember this shit like it was yesterday.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, man.
He let it out in there, me not knowing, unbeknownst to me, just waddle my ass in there. And here I am going, oh, look, it's an adult beverage that he told me not to touch. And I drank it, and the whole ashes and everything went in, and I was like coughing and about to throw up, and I said, "Oh no, I'm never drinking adult
beer
beverages
ever again.
Yeah,
ever again."
That is traumatic.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I told her she should never drink a smoked beer.
Yeah, please. It's a really good food pairing beer, though. Smoked beers are really good with food. But anyway,
Yeah, that one ruined it.
Yeah.
Ruined it. So every time
Understandably.
that I would take a swig of somebody's beer, something I'd be like, I smell a cigarette in there. And they're like, I don't even smoke. And I'm like, well, I taste it. And that's because that from
it's like
the
nostalgia.
memory.
It's almost like Pavlovian.
Yeah. And it just kind of kept me away from them for
Yeah.
any alcohol really.
Yeah.
for a very long time.
I mean,
And
that's a
then-
lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your dad's all like, well, sorry, but got her, you know? Don't have to worry about her as a
Still
teenager.
didn't know because I didn't say anything because I'm a child. Remember,
not supposed
I'm
to
not
drink it.
supposed to be drinking it. So I'm like in the back, like throwing up, and people trying to figure out like what's wrong with me, and I'm like, I don't know. I have no. Maybe my tummy hurts. I don't know, but I knew.
Oh my gosh.
I knew in that moment that was something I should not have done. That's why I can't be a scammer, because karma happens to me real quick.
So
And
many
that's one
life
of those-
lessons
I was gonna
learned
say,
in one
I was gonna
event.
say.
Yes, that taught me a very valuable lesson. Don't touch anybody else's drink. Drink your own. Stay in your own lane.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuck to juicy juice for a very long time.
Which is funny because now there's a lot of beers in the market that drink like juicy juice. So, you know, we'll get there.
Yeah.
good.
I'm excited
Full
to learn
circle.
those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are going to do some drinking games. Or
Yes.
a drinking game,
This is the best.
essentially. So Natasha's going to share the rules.
Okay.
So on the podcast, we're now doing a drinking game of some sort. And for this episode, we decided to do a word association one.
Okay.
So for this one, we're going to do notes. That's our word. Okay? If you say anything with notes, then you have
Careful.
to take a sip. Okay? I'm looking for at any time for someone to say notes.
Noted.
Exactly.
Oh, noted.
Yeah. Go
Does
ahead.
that count?
Notes
You know what?
or
Matter of
noted?
fact, notes.
Or
Let's just-
any part of the word
Any-
note.
any part of it.
Notation. Oh no. Oh
Any
no.
part of it, because then that really brings it into like that gives it some frequency, right? So yeah, notes of any variation
Okay.
is our word.
We can live with this.
Yes.
I think we can
Keep
do
that
it.
in mind.
All right.
And it starts now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay.
So don't look at your notes.
Oh. Okay, that was.
But does everyone drink or just you?
Oh, I thought
Just me.
everyone drank.
No, you know what?
Do you want to play everyone or do you want to
Matter
do
of
just
fact-
I mean,
the
that's how
person
a
who
real
said
drinking
it?
game works, right?
Let's make it interesting.
Or is it the other way?
I think
Let's
it's
make
only
it-
if you say it.
No, let's make it interesting. Everyone
Okay.
drinks.
Oh,
It's interesting now. Let's go. Yep.
interesting.
Everyone drinks. Noted.
Again? Come on.
We're gonna be friends.
Yeah, don't look at your notes while you're in it. All right. So
Wow, you do like that beer.
Oh man.
what do we have today?
So we're doing, again, going back to gateway beers for non-beer drinkers. And Jill brought a couple Pizza Port beers. We also have an Owl Farm beer, which is from Vista Brewery. And then we have Orange Avenue Wit from Coronado. So all San Diego County breweries.
Yay.
And we are going to start with the California Honey Blonde Ale. Would you like to walk us through it?
Yeah. It's not overly complicated. Blonde ale, which is just like a traditional light style. And then we add California orange blossom honey. So it has a subtle sweetness, not overwhelming. It almost is like when you add honey to tea, and it just sweetens it up a little bit
Yeah.
without it being overbearing or cloying or anything like that. So this is a beer we've made at Pizza Port since the early 90s, but we only recently started canning it within the last couple of years. So
I was
that's
gonna say,
available
I
all
don't
the time.
remember seeing
Yeah,
it.
it was tough.
out and about.
It was tough to source that much honey, and consistently have the honey and get it at a price point that we could translate to the consumer in the beer. Because with the lighter styles, it's important to keep it at a a manageable price point, especially when you're out there next to some of the like larger breweries that have better efficiencies and are just able to keep their costs lower.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to be mindful of that when we were finally getting it into a package. So
Okay.
longtime Pizza Port beer, recent 2 cans in the last couple of years.
What location?
So it was
Did it
originally
start
made.
out?
Yeah, it was originally made in Solana Beach. So
Okay.
just a little brief history of Pizza Port, just in case any listeners don't
Yeah.
know, and just in case Natasha's not aware. But we have been open since 1987. It's a sister and brother that own the whole thing.
While I was 1 year old, people.
Yeah. My husband was born in 87. He's always like, just such a magical year. I'm so glad. So glad you have so many things with my birth year on it. I'm like,
Oh, so sweet.
yes, babe. So thoughtful.
I knew we were connected.
Yeah, that's it.
Exactly.
But it was just pizza at the beginning, and they were, messing around homebrewing a little bit.
In the basement.
Yeah. Maybe like the health department wasn't super stoked on what they were doing. But just to kind of a nod to the camaraderie of the beer industry, when Karl Strauss opened its location on Front Street in downtown San Diego, that's accredited with being the longest running brewery in San Diego. And we
didn't know that.
We were open as a pizza shop, and Gina and her brother Vince were homebrewing, and Gina actually got hired at Karl Strauss as a cocktail waitress, along with one of the founders of San Diego Brewing Company as a bartender. So it was kind of like the three early, there had been other breweries in San Diego, but as far as like current tenure of longest running breweries, they were all there on Front Street that day. So Gina kind of learned a bit about brewery operations, and in 1992, they installed a system at Pizza Port Solana Beach. So we were making this beer then. We were then making it at our Carlsbad Village location. Pretty much all of the locations had made it at some point. When I started with the company in 2010, we had just opened our Ocean Beach location, and the first Pizza Port shirt I ever had was a California Honey shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we built our production brewery in 2013, and it's in Bressi Ranch, which in Carlsbad, just down the road here from Vista. And we had a couple of light offerings before this, just couldn't get the honey, couldn't do it. And now we get it in these like giant totes, which is really cool, with like an industrial pump, and we just dump buckets of honey into the brew, which is super
smells
fun.
real nice.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But we're pumped about it. And, we've lived in an IPA world for so long that when we started packaging this in cans, I would come home with a 6-pack of that. I'm like, it's under 5%. It's not hoppy. This is so easy, so it's usually
easy.
It's easy. You don't think too much about it. It's approachable.
Doesn't wreck your palate.
Doesn't wreck your palate. It's a good food beer. Sometimes the lighter beers, particularly lighter beers that have other notes.
Oh, dang. I'm
You
out.
gotta love a good noted word.
Oh, well, I'm out. Is there any more in that can?
We got plenty to go around.
Yeah.
Do we have any more?
We have plenty to go around. I don't know if you've been looking, but yeah.
That's all right. That's fair.
Oh, that's interesting though.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun honey beers. I mean, it's a style that you see somewhat regularly.
We just tried a mead recently.
We
which,
did. Shocked us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a beer inspired mead. And so the last
Like
time,
a bracket, kind of.
well, I mean, it was mead.
Yeah, but it was inspired. So it was
inspired by, it was hopped.
I love that.
Hopped,
Yeah.
grapefruit, citrus, like all of that. It wasn't like a heavy mouthfeel. Like,
Yeah.
and
Like not the things.
I was expecting, because the last time I had mead was like over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it was like nectar.
Like
super
Viking
thick.
blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we were given it as a gift, and I'm like, let's try it together.
Lovely.
Let's see how it goes. And we both were
nothing like
shocked.
we expected.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was really nice. It's nice to see, like
There's been a lot of evolution in that style. There's
Yeah.
sparkling mead now. I haven't had any, but
interesting.
I would love to
That is
try that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at the
But
evolution
just
of all
the
of
honey,
this.
like being able to use honey because it's such a interesting ingredient.
Yeah,
It
and
doesn't-
it's something that we've fermented with in the past versus like here we're trying to derive honey character in the beer, but it's also sugar.
Yeah.
So like it drives fermentation. So we made a double IPA a couple of years ago called Queen of the Coast with a brewery from Ventura, Made West, and it was like a honey double IPA, but it was like avocado honey, and we added it to dry fermentation, not to evoke sweetness in the beer.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it dried
That
out.
is.
And like calorie wise, this is like fairly low cal because
What is that? 'Cause I'm watching my weight.
it it's just one of the things you don't think about because it dries out. And once the yeast, like not to get too technical, but that's how fermentation works, right? Like the yeast is eating the sugar and then the byproducts are alcohol and CO2. So you get booze and bubbles, which is wild. And if it dries out. Like there's a lot of Belgian beers, like higher ABV Belgian beers that are so dry because the yeast has worked through so much sugar to get the alcohol content up over 10% or 12%, like Belgian quads, things like that.
Okay.
That the calorie content is like, it is like bone dry. So super interesting. It's not like always what happens because then you
Complex,
Yeah.
layered.
Yeah.
then you look at some pastry stouts and you're like, oh, somebody dumped
we
a box of brownies
Yeah.
in here. And you're like, so it's low cal, right? Because it's high alcohol? Yeah, perfect.
Oh, you wish.
Yeah. You're cute. Yeah. Sweetie.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I like this one.
Oh my gosh.
You did it.
We're 1 for 1. We did it.
Okay,
You
so
should,
that-
you should put that in your notes.
I'll make a note. Oh,
Should we?
oh man.
You did that.
I did it.
did
and
that.
not even on purpose, where I feel like
For me.
the other times we've had to drink it was almost intentional.
I mean, it's not unintentional.
I guess not.
Be rude to leave a little bit left in this can.
Mm-hmm.
What you mean leave a little? Listen, I don't believe in
got-
alcohol abuse.
I know. We don't want
I don't
anything to
believe
feel
in-
abandoned.
Nothing.
Never.
You are good enough. You're strong enough. Gosh darn it, people like you.
Oh, my God.
Exactly.
The next beer that we are going to try is the Orange Avenue Wit from Coronado Brewing Company. And this is actually,
Would you like to pour this one?
Yeah.
Because it's special.
it
to
was,
you.
yeah, it is special. This one was one of my gateway beers when I started drinking. I worked at Woodstock's Pizza near San Diego State in college. And they always had like pint nights and
They still do.
I'm sure they do. Interesting nights. And so,
No,
but
tell me more about this pint night. I am interested.
College
I am
page.
really. Let's hear about
guys
college
look.
page a little bit. Just a little story.
Right
so
now.
one time,
Just give me just a little bit of like what college page was like drinking.
pint night was you buy a pint of, there is a brewery like being featured that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so you buy, it's a keep the pint. So you would buy your first pint for $5 for with the beer of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like a refill was either $3, $2, or $1.
Oh, you getting fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
well,
what I'm
since I worked there, it was like, yeah, you want to work pint night because everyone's drinking dollar beers and you get super high tips.
They give you a 5 and you're like, you
And
keep
they're
it.
like, oh, just keep it.
Yeah.
Like, because they're like, feel like they have money in college with a $5 bill. And you're like,
Right.
okay, thanks.
The amount of money I lost in college, I mean, enjoyed. I had some great experiences, but I think back and I'm like, whew. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah. But so those were fun nights because they were, I mean, it was fun like learning about the breweries and stuff like that. But then there were like just people coming in from school. But it was the dollar Bud Lights definitely did a number on some people.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't drink beer then.
Until you had an
Until-
Orange Avenue Wit.
I tried an Orange Avenue Wit. And so what happened is eventually we did a brewery. We got taken to Coronado Island where the original Coronado
Which is a beautiful
pub
island, by the
is
way.
located.
Yeah.
And we did a little like tiny brewery tour. And the manager of the Woodstocks that I had worked at, Coronado used to have this, I don't think they make it anymore, but the Idiot IPA, which was like,
Yeah. They're double, right?
yeah, so they had this glass called the Monster, which was 32 ounces. And
Okay.
this
A
general
yard
manager,
at the yard house? Half a yard at the yard house?
Yeah.
Got it.
He would sit after work and drink like multiple monsters of Idiot IPA.
Multiple.
Not the,
I wonder why they named it Idiot.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like
So
that
he
has a
was
good
like,
reason.
yeah, we're definitely going to Coronado for this brewery tour and blah, blah, blah. I was like, eh. And I didn't, Idiot IPA, that's like super bitter, really harsh. And anyway, so they're like, try this. And the Orange Avenue was definitely that gateway
Okay, well,
for
pour us
me.
up.
So, here we are. Get your glass.
And they're here in Coronado, California.
They have
Yeah.
a location in Coronado, is their original pub location.
Mhm.
Then they have their production facility in Bay Park. I think that's what that area is called. down in San Diego right off the 5.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it. And then they also have an Imperial Beach location, which is also a pub.
Smells interesting.
So you're going to get a lot of
Wow.
citrus notes in here.
I feel like we need to cheers
noted.
every time we try a new beer.
Sorry.
To Coronado.
Noted and notes.
Oh, that is 3.
Dang it.
Gulps.
Mm-hmm. So this is a
I can see why that's a gateway.
a wheat beer. So I mean, yeah, honey, spices, orange zest, coriander. This also has honey, orange blossom honey, just like
Aw.
the honey that we just drank.
Aw.
So there's a little bit of overlap there. But I mean, what do you think?
I think it's good. It's light. It definitely has those orange flavors in there. And I think with both of these, I can still taste the beer. You know, like
in a good way?
taste.
Or in a you wish it was masked a little bit more kind of way.
Now that I'm tasting the orange one, I feel like the honey beer should be masking more because I feel like this one is like way down.
Mm-hmm.
This one is way more easier to take down.
Yeah.
Like if I had to compare,
Of course.
like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one's still great to take down,
Yeah.
but this one's easier
Yeah.
than that one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just think that's
'Cause I feel
blonde
like that's-
versus wheat?
Well, I think it's also like wit beer, the yeast strain that they use in a lot of Belgian beers has like fruitier, spicier esters. So it doesn't dry out as much as just like traditional ale yeast. It gives you a lot more complexity. And I think that, especially with honey in it too, like I love this beer. It's great. So I think that alone will give you a little bit more fruity character, a little more herbal character, like herb spices, not like
Yeah, well, it
herbs,
has like
herbs.
the coriander. and
Coriander is
everything.
naturally,
And
it's a
that's what-
typical flavor that you will get from a lot of Belgian yeast strains, which is great. Like wit beer is like one of the older classic Belgian styles.
Yeah.
And it's,
And that's what I'm tasting
lovely.
after. I can
yeah.
actually taste like the spices
Yeah.
on my tongue just lingering.
Whereas with the honey, it just kind of dries out.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one I can actually taste. So when
Yeah.
you said coriander, I was like, yep, it's in there.
Got it.
It's
Sure
definitely in there.
is.
Do you think this one would be good with food?
This would be amazing with food.
And what kind of food do you think?
For some reason, I have this dream that every Belgian style beer needs to be with breakfast.
Oh.
Like some kind of pancakes or French toast.
Yeah,
Or
well, yeah,
something.
because the
Or-
juiciness of the orange and
Yeah.
honey,
Or
and all
like a
those flavors.
shortcake, like a dessert course. I think it could go with a lot of things.
Coronado also makes a shandy with
Shandies go with parties.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's a
that's what-
shandy? What is a shandy?
It's a wit or a wheat beer
I think, yeah.
with orange juice.
Yeah, I think traditional
It's like a
shandies.
mixed.
Yeah, European style. I think traditionally shandies were like part beer, part soda. or part like
that's
juice,
interesting.
part juice,
Juice.
part beer.
But it's kind of just transformed into just more so orange juice than other things, right?
Or lemon, I think like
Oh, okay.
lemon or grapefruit. I mean, because there's also radlers, right? And like radlers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Have you ever had
shandies,
Radler before?
shandies, I think of
Is it a
like,
beer?
Yes.
That's why I haven't had it, Paige.
oh my gosh, a Stiegel Radler with a shot of mezcal in there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Or gin.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I got to go back because now I'm starting to pull out those drunk nights. Those thoughts.
Isn't it funny how they just reappear? You're like,
Yeah.
has one drink, remembers all the things.
Because I remember
That happened when I was drunk.
exactly, and I remember this drink that we did where you dropped the Jaeger bomb in there,
Oh, yep.
and it was a beer. I remember that It was a
Boilermakers,
beer.
like spirits into beer, are like Boilermakers.
yeah, and I remember doing that.
Oh, man.
And that was like but I was already like,
Yeah. You're like, sure.
yeah.
What is a Jaeger
I'm
bomb
already
again?
floating.
Jaeger and Red Bull
Yeah.
or
And
something
what?
like that. Red Bull, energy drink.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Mhm. I just used to do like Irish car bombs.
Those were also very large. We
Have you
used to
ever-
do cactus coolers.
Which one
And
is
it was
that?
like, we would do, I was a bartender for far too long.
At the heart.
Far too long.
hard.
Oh, man. Shout out to Obi.
Yeah.
It was some kind of orange vodka with like a little bit of peach schnapps, and you would drop it into a Belgian wit beer, and then you would drink it,
Oh.
and it tasted like a Cactus Cooler. Like, you know, the Cactus Cooler soda that's like orange and peach and citrusy. Like that's exactly, I mean, you would chug it the same way.
Yeah.
And it would taste just like a Cactus Cooler.
Oh.
Oh my God.
Yep. There
The
it is.
things we used to drink.
I was going to say, Irish
So
car
much
bombs are
fruity vodka.
Bailey's and Guinness, right?
And
Is that what it
whiskey,
is?
Irish
Is it
whiskey.
whiskey?
Oh my God. Well, it's whiskey with a little bit of Irish cream. So typically
I thought it
like
was Bailey's.
Jameson with a splash of Bailey's, and then you drop it in there. And then you
Actually, you have to chug it because it'll curdle.
Yeah, you see it curdle or you just know it's going to curdle in your belly.
Ew.
It's better curdling in my belly
So
than
when
it
we're
is
done
going
with this,
down.
we're going to go to Vista Village Pub.
Shout out to Vista Village Pub.
Yep. Irish car bombs.
We're coming for you. Please and thanks.
Okay, so what do we have next?
The next one we have is chronic. This is another.
Okay, Callie.
Yeah, right?
Hey.
Another way of waking and
Here you
baking, huh?
are.
Can this also go with breakfast or what?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of a misnomer. So it's actually an amber ale. It's a super mellow amber ale. But when we first started making it, we used hemp seeds in the mash. So there was like this time period before hemp, like fragrant plant hemp was used and it was just the seeds. There were some breweries in Northern California that were doing like a hemp ale, but it was really just kind of like a nutty amber or brown ale. So we used it and it just started, the original name was Carlsbad Chronic.
That's what they called it.
Yeah, we called it Carlsbad Chronic.
Okay.
But that was like in the mid 90s. So now it's named after a newspaper, the Chronicle. No.
That's good.
Can see our friend reading his newspaper on there. If anyone from the government is listening, this is our Chronicle. But this is a mellow amber. And it's interesting because we started with the California Honey Ale, but when we opened Pizza Port Ocean Beach in 2010, and I was a bartender there, craft was growing, but it wasn't anything like what it would become. So we had a lot of people walk into Pizza Port that weren't familiar with craft beer, and they would walk in and they would be like, I usually drink like insert random domestic or import light beer here.
Yeah.
Or, you know, any variation of any like mass produced beer.
Yeah.
And we'd be like, cool, I'm going to give you a taste of something and I want you to tell me what you like or don't like about it. Like, let's start somewhere. Let's have a starting point. And Chronic was always our starting point, which is funny because, you know, as we taste it, you'll note that like California Honey is lighter. And, you know, it wasn't always on draft. And it's a little sweet, whereas this is just kind of a little more neutral.
Okay.
So I'm very excited.
When people ask me about my
Love it.
music,
I think I just heard an angel sing. Where?
this is
A
a
drunk
clean
one
one.
at that. It was a drunk angel.
When people ask me about gateway beers for me, it's Chronic and Orange Avenue. So I have definitely, when I was starting to get into craft beer, when I was working at Woodstocks and like that sort of, and in college a little bit towards the end, it was going into Carlsbad Pizza Port, and also is around the time that I started dating my husband, and he was a craft beer drinker. So I was like, oh yeah, let's get that picture of Chronic. Sure.
It is still to this day the beer we sell the most pictures of because it's just super easy drinking. It's also a great food beer.
For someone who wasn't like a well-versed beer drinker, I was like, oh, I can hang with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be the judge of that.
Cheers and let us know what you think.
I'll be the judge of that.
I'll beat.
Going off of just smell compared to the orange one. It definitely doesn't have like I felt like the orange one had like a more
Notes?
Coronado, please. First of all, Coronado, please don't come after me. Don't at me. Don't do anything. But it almost smelled like pee. Like it had like this like bum pee smell.
Like a vinegar?
No,
It wasn't like that. Actual urine? Oh, man.
It was like
What do you think that is?
Like if you go to the beach and you know, when the bums are like just peeing off to the side and it's been there for a couple of hours.
But you liked
but
it.
I still liked it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it has like this smell to it. Because remember, we're supposed to be comparing
Use all your
to
senses.
what exactly. So I'm comparing it to what I know. I hang out at the beach a lot. So
That
I
might
know
just
that
be
that
like
smell.
the Janice character. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I think, I mean, I'm so like,
Because
I was
that's
gonna
what it
say
smell
like like that a vinegar.
But this one,
Not.
I don't smell anything.
No.
Almost like nothing.
it's like
Let me taste it.
biscuits,
Yeah.
bread, toast.
And see, that's where it screws me because it smells like nothing, but it tastes very. It's a very potent taste to it.
Yeah, it's definitely similar to British pub ales, and just it was kind of designed to be mellow, right? Because if you think we live in an IPA world, like this does not taste like IPAs. Very, very easy drinking, very palatable, and it's not something that you give a lot of thought to. I never thought I'd be like, man, I love that you can drink our beer and then just keep drinking it and not really think about it. You know what I mean? It's like you want people to enjoy it, but that part of enjoyment is not taking it too. But I love being serious about beer, but also at the end of the day, when you're just relaxing and you want to be enjoying the time you're spending,
your beverage.
yeah, you want to enjoy your beverage and you want to enjoy, more importantly, your conversation and who you're with and what you're doing and the experience you're having. Like, that's the whole point. Beer's been like, this whole perpetuator of like, I don't know, community since the dawn of agriculture.
Yeah.
Like, it just is what it does.
For
you
real.
know?
Yeah.
So, can't take it too seriously.
Yeah. And I think that this one too, I can see why this one was your gateway one as well. Because if I would have had this one first, I would have been like, yep, this is it. This is the one. Yeah, this is the one.
So we found a couple gateway beers for you.
Yeah, because even though the honey one was good, this one is probably the one that I can drink for long lasting.
Yeah, and it's good with food because it it's light bodied, but it has enough complexity. There's enough I already mentioned. I used the words like toast and
biscuit,
but it's also just like slightly nutty and like a little bit of caramel. It stands up. It's got all these notes.
That's what this one. Because you never know how good the notes are going to be.
Oh man.
Did we just become best friends?
And then, when you think about the notes in there.
Okay, it happened.
I can totally taste the caramel notes.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's when you said caramel, I immediately tasted that.
Yeah.
I said, there it is. That's because I was like, what is that?
Well,
I know I'm
just feel
tasting
like
something
it's
familiar.
It's so good with pizza.
It's good with pizza.
It's so good with pizza.
I felt like wings.
Yeah.
Like this one, the honey one, immediately pizza. I said, this is why beer and pizza make sense.
Yeah.
Because the honey one to me was like,
because sometimes
pizza.
you can pull the sweetness out of tomato sauce too. And then the spice,
I was
whatever's on it
ooh.
can cut it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I thought about this one, wings.
Yep.
That's like the fun with beer
Some good wings.
and palates is that everybody's palate is different.
Yes.
And there are some general guidelines of here's this flavor profile and it should go with this style of beer or whatever. But the fun of it is that no one takes that seriously. They're like, okay, this is something that's been documented that these flavors go together. But the reality is just like different styles of beer, everyone's palate is so different. And it's so fun. And it's cool to have different courses and then beers paired, the same beer, kind of like the reverse of a beer pairing dinner. It's the same beer for all the different courses and then
and how
different
they can
courses
go with
that
lots
are,
of different food.
Because this beer, I always think of earthy. I want it with a salad, but then I also want it with a mushroom entree. I'm a pescatarian, so I eat a lot of vegetables. And then I want it with a mushroom entree, but then a toffee cobbler or something for dessert.
Wow, yeah.
I don't know why I want brunch right now, but some kind of cinnamon bun toffee.
Maybe because with the caramel taste and then it was biscuits earlier.
Yeah.
Of course. Of course. Let's brunch it up. Yeah.
Brunch in
summer.
This is a good one.
Can I be on a brunch episode in the future?
Yes. Let's do it.
Brunch for lunch.
We will have you back.
Yeah, I love that one.
It's great.
Yay.
All right.
Hey, what do we have next?
Okay. The next one we have.
This one is a little wild.
It's a little wild.
Okay.
So I am
buckle the fuck in, man.
interested.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And Jill and I talked about this ahead of time.
Okay.
We did.
And this is what we decided on.
Yes. So
I was plotting on my
gateway
life.
beers.
Okay.
Well, we're just more of the bumpers in bumper bowling. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Give me
The three beers that we've tried thus far are actual styles that we have considered like by traditional means to be gateway beers. By the way, Pizza Port Brescia Ranch is on Gateway Road. So every time I say Gateway, I'm like,
oh, that's interesting.
yeah. And then we made a beer called Gateway IPA, and I was like, it's too.
Yeah.
But they're traditional beer styles that we would consider to be gateway for non-beer drinkers. But thank you, Paige. Something that's super fun is that there are so many styles out there that can be more relatable to people who prefer wine or other beverages.
Yeah,
kind of like crossover styles.
Yeah. Yo, I smell something in here.
What do you smell?
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait on Jill. I'm gonna wait on Jill
No, you go.
to finish because I smell like this.
What do you smell?
It's almost like I can smell like spices and a plant, like some type of plant.
That's good.
But I do smell some spices.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stop because I didn't inhale this entire room. I feel like aloe veras too.
Mm.
I know what it is.
Suspense.
I know. Paige and I are looking at each other like, is she gonna get it? Is she gonna get it?
I know what it is, but I can't. It's like on the tip of my tongue because every time I smell it, I'm like, there it is. But what is it?
All right. So this one is from Owl Farm Unique Fermentations, which is here in Vista. It's a mango tahini goza. So there are, it looks like, thankfully, they put their ingredient list in graphics
And the
on their
tahini
can.
is kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mango, tahini, coriander, barley, and wheat. So there's a little bit of overlap in flavor as to what was in the Orange Avenue wit. So, but we thought this one would be a cool one to share with you just because of like, I don't know, just like the food aspect of the mango and tahini, and it's not a traditional style. And I think, when people see non-traditional styles, they kind of get afraid sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what to expect from that.
And gozas are just like,
and gozas are, so
salty, tart wheat beer. Like,
And it's so I know that you guys were saying earlier that you thought that this would be more of a riskier one for me. This is probably my favorite.
yeah.
And let me tell you why. Because
Nailed
I like sour pickles. I have tahini on all of my
Perfect.
I
fruits.
thought you might like it.
Yeah.
This is
I
why
mean,
this
you
one is
are married
the one.
to a Mexican chef.
Right.
Yum.
And we put tahini on all of our fruits. So
Yeah.
yes, this is the one. I love this tartness.
Shout
That-
out Owl Farm.
We need like confetti or something.
I know.
Something going.
Woohoo!
Tahini just coming from the rafters.
Tahini all over.
When I think about the from out of the four, my least favorite is probably the orange.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay,
probably-
I was like 20.
it's probably-
I was young.
So I had to think number.
There's
No, it's so
styles for
fantastic.
everybody. It's a
Yeah.
great beer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still good.
Yeah.
It's just probably the least one out of the four. So if I had to do that, it'd be like the orange is number 4, the honey's number 3, the chronic is number 2. Yeah, and then this mango tahini.
So we almost went in like reverse order.
Yes.
so
like this was.
That's
this
really
was,
funny.
That's fun.
I love this.
No, I had a lot of fun like working with Jill on like what we're like, well, she's a wine drinker. So
There is a whole other world of like wine barrel aged sour beer that we think you would like.
we were just like
from your notes
that seems
from this beer, we
no.
are certain that you would enjoy. So we'll have to do like a follow
Well,
up.
I guess that you will be coming back is what I'm hearing. Because this one, I love this one. That tahini is
it's
really
great, right?
It's perfect in this.
Well,
My
and I
sister
know
would like this too.
they
because she
have-
has the same kind
They
of
have
like,
a
taste
watermelon
palette.
one
They
too.
have a watermelon tahini one. Do they do
I had it
any
at my
other ones?
wedding.
You did.
I didn't even get one.
What? And I don't want to say this, guys, because I'm black and I like watermelon. I do like watermelons.
Watermelons. I mean,
So if there's
it's so good.
tahini and watermelon beer, come
Yeah, it's
on.
fantastic.
It's really
Come
good.
on.
It only comes out in the summer, right? Yeah, because they use fresh watermelon. Like
I'm trying it.
their stuff is great. Do they do any others? You know,
In the tahini series, I don't
believe
think
so.
Okay.
But I think the mango one is available pretty much all year
it's year
long.
round. Yeah.
And I love that on the can that the mango is like sprinkling
dousing
it.
himself in tahini.
Don't mind if I do.
That is so adorable. I love that.
Their artist is great.
The artist,
Yeah.
just their whole line of Owl Farm, like just their art is fantastic. They did a
it
fantastic
is.
job.
It is.
It's really cool to see like the art culture
Mhm.
like intermingled with the beer and all of that. So it's really great to see it.
So what else do we have?
We have
Okay,
two.
we should rinse.
We need to rinse
We
our
need to
cups
rinse.
because these ones are, those are some
So
water
wow.
to rinse out.
So while we're rinsing, Jill, tell us, because we're doing this segment in the show where everyone tells us their favorite like drinking story, or it doesn't
I can
even
do the
have to be.
rinsing while you tell the story.
It doesn't have to be like a raunchy story, or it doesn't have to be like
Not
something
like
that.
this one time I blacked out so hard.
Right. Those are fun too. Don't get me wrong. Those are fun too. But at the same time, it could be anything that has to do with like the culture around drinking, how much fun you had around it when you first started. And even bad times or why you don't drink a certain drink anymore.
Ooh.
But since we're featuring some beers and we're going to have you on again, I would like to know about like something that has to do with.
Yeah. So I started working in a brew pub when I was 18, and it's like basically the only industry I've ever known. This year I hit 20 years. So that's that's pretty wild. My career is almost old enough to drink. That's pretty wild to reflect on. And I think what's neat is that the industry has grown so much. And, I was in college and I was like hostessing and then waitressing and then bartending at a brew pub. And I was going to school for hospitality management. And if I hadn't started working, it was on the East Coast in Delaware. And I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't started working at that brew pub, but I moved to San Diego. I'd been in San Diego a few years. There weren't a lot of beer jobs when I first moved out here. I actually applied at Carl Strauss and they didn't call me for over a year.
Well,
Wah, wah. No, I'm just kidding.
you know what? I'm going to bring someone in here and they're going to explain
No,
themselves.
I'm just kidding.
I know you shared that story.
I'm just kidding. I tease them. I tease them.
The founders.
Yeah, I tease them. I'm like, but in retrospect, like starting to work for Pizza Port and then knowing that Gina had worked there and how close they all were, and then my time with the Brewers Guild and with the California Craft Brewers Association and spending time with the founders, it all worked out. And we were at a conference a few years ago in Washington, D.C., and I had gone to the University of Delaware. So I'm walking around D.C. with the owner of Pizza Port, and we walk into this beer garden, and the owner of the brew pub, one of the owners of the brew pub that I had worked at in college at that point, 15 years earlier, and the director of brewing from that brew pub group who taught me, I would say 70 to 80% of what I know about beer. I learned from working for Iron Hill. Series of brew pubs on the East Coast. There's like 17 of them
Great.
Oh, wow.
Great brewery
They're
on the
amazing.
East Coast.
They are amazing.
Yes. I go to the one in Media.
Yay!
Media,
I
Pennsylvania.
was a Newark kid. Shout out Newark. But to so I'm walking around with Gina, one of the co-founders of Pizza Port, and we walk in and run into these people, and she immediately is like, "Oh, Kevin," like one of the founders of Iron Hill, and they hug, and I'm like, "Justin," and we hug, and I just had that like shiver down my spine. If you ever wonder if there's a plan or just beer, like beer brings people together,
It really does.
and how special that is. And I was just like, whoa. And then, we caught up with our group and I was handed like a stein of some lager. It was like a German themed brewery. And I was just like, this is it. This is all the things. This is why,
Yeah. Talk about alignment. Like
Right.
it just your whole entire world.
My
at that
universe was
moment.
like,
Yeah. It was like you're in the right place
got
at the
it.
right time. Yep.
It was
Yeah.
very wild.
Yeah.
Very wild.
All right. So what we're
okay.
starting with next?
So Paige and I we were talking about like the traditional gateway beers. And then we were talking about the styles that might be less thought of
There it
as
is.
gateway beers, but maybe fun. In the last several years, the style of Hazy IPA has emerged as a thing. And
Thank you.
what makes a Hazy IPA, of course, is the appearance, right? Like people are looking at it and it's, unfiltered.
hazy.
It's hazy.
Yeah.
you can't
It's not crystal
look
clear.
through it.
Muddy water. Got
But
it.
what actually, like what my favorite part about the style is that, for a long time, it was like, how bitter can you make your IPA? How there were beers called palate wrecker and things like that. And it was kind of like that conquest of we need the hops to just be this ultimate bitterness. When in reality, to have a hop be expressive, it doesn't have to be bitter. Hops are flowers. So you can get all of these fruity notes and all this character from it without it being bitter. Cheers.
Cheers.
But also,
I'm going to say this. Okay. Y'all just keep dumping me into the beer game. I'm in the beer game now.
you're in.
I'm in the beer. I am going to be ordering beers now.
Success.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is the best.
We did it.
So from the IPA world of it being like super, super bitter, the pendulum kind of swung back and it was like, let's make these beers softer and juicy and lower bitterness. And let's use a yeast strain. Like the yeast strains that are out there now are called juice and things like that. So
Interesting.
they have these naturally juicy characteristics. And then you're adding hops, again, not to get too technical, but hops are, it's like kind of like when you're building a sauce. And there are certain hops that are designed for bittering. So it's like herbs that you would put into a sauce early on because you want the flavor to penetrate and you don't want it to be as bright and fresh and lively. You just want like it to balance whatever you're doing and still be pronounced. With hops, it's similar in that the later you add them, the more they're like aroma and kind of more bright. Almost fleeting characteristics because you're adding them later on and you're not getting all of the alpha acids out. So you're not using them to make things bitter, you're using them to make them fruity and bright. And there's a lot of citrus and all sorts of, stone fruit notes.
Yep. Oh, God. There it is.
Now I'm
So
going to
it-
say this.
Yeah.
In terms of when you first opened it and you started pouring, I could smell it from here.
Yeah.
From all the way across the table. I was
Yeah.
like, ooh, that smells good. I love the way that
Yeah.
smells.
Yeah.
So I couldn't wait to taste it. And I'm not disappointed.
I'm so happy.
Not disappointed at
so
all.
that's like the most powerful part of the style is that it has brought so
Yeah.
many people into a segment that was notoriously like, it's got to be as bitter. I want you to make the bitter beer face every
I was
second.
gonna
I
say-
still taste that bitterness. Like I still,
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Get it.
still a very, very hoppy
But-
beer.
but
Yeah.
it smells
Juicy and
juicy and
floral.
I can taste the juice
It's
in it.
approachable.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. This is it.
Is this beer available all year
So
long?
this
or
is
it
Ocean
like a
Air.
seasonal?
This was just a specialty release we just did. So
Okay.
Fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, the future's unwritten.
Yeah.
We like to make beer people want to drink. So
Yeah.
That's a good
great.
one.
yeah, it was
That's a
really,
good one.
really fun for us. It was the first time we've really released like a large scale canned hazy IPA.
Hazy.
And we were really happy with how it turned out. And, the reality is it's recognized as a style with like BJCP, which is like the group that writes all of the, for the major competitions and stuff like that. They write all the guidelines and the style guidelines.
And they
So
take
it's
their
fun.
notes on it.
Oh, they sure do.
You're welcome, Paige.
And then you enter the competition,
welcome.
and then
Thank you.
after you enter the competition, the judges will send you back their notes.
Oh, there it is
Yeah.
again.
So then you review those notes.
Yeah.
You do?
And after you review those notes, then you decide on how you're going to.
Where's yours? Drink it.
I am. I want to talk so that, it's not just a bunch of drinking in the background. You know what I mean? So yeah, after you review those, then you know what notes you need to put.
Oh my gosh.
That's 4 gulps.
I am really terrible at this game.
But it's fun.
Yeah,
I
you
think,
are.
I think
A
that
tad bit.
hazy IPAs have done so much for the style of IPA
really
and
have.
really made us understand like beer is the beverage of the people, right? Like really made us understand what people want to drink.
Yeah.
And that's a really powerful tool. And
Yeah.
it's been around for 5+ years at this point. It's here. It's not going anywhere.
It's official.
It's a style.
It's a
It's
style.
something that rounds out your
Yep.
draft list. It rounds out,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
I was
so-
gonna say my quick beer story.
Okay. Oh, I love when you have beer stories. Come on.
Yeah, they're not.
Tell me
go.
more about Orange Avenue
everyone
with
already-
dollar pints.
I'm just back to Woodstock.
So what you got?
Well, going back to the kind of like palate wrecker type of beer. Since I didn't drink beer when I worked there, it was Stone Ruination was
Named appropriately, it's like for
it
your
will
palate.
ruin your palate. And so
And I
there
love
was-
that beer. Don't get me
one
wrong.
of the general managers was like, you gotta try this beer, because he knew I didn't like he would just drink
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
he was a beer drinker. And he was like, drink this beer. And I was just like, okay. So I drank it and I was
It's
just
okay for me.
yeah. And I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. But it was more
It was
because-
exactly what the world needed, though. Like, shout out to Stone for just making like
No,
arrogant
totally.
bastard
No,
and like
they,
all of these
like-
styles that were like craft brewers are here. We're not a fad. We are making beer for the people. They like it.
Yeah.
Give us your tap handles
but
and your
definitely
shelf
not,
space.
not a gateway beer.
Not a gateway beer.
But as someone who was like, and so it made me afraid of
Yeah.
beer, because that was like some of those
So strong.
So because it was so strong
Yeah.
in flavor,
Yeah.
but it was
That
just
was
kind of
that was your cigarette in the beer.
I was
moment.
gonna say that,
was-
but I was like, Natasha's got this one.
so it was just like
That was just
wow,
cigarette
like
beer.
but I remember that moment of like sitting in that booth with
Yeah.
that manager, and he was just like, try this beer, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like tried it, and I was just like, why do you even drink that?
Yeah.
Like I can't even taste my mouth anymore,
Yeah.
type of thing.
I love
and then
that.
it was just but
Loved. No, I'm mellow now. But
yeah, but as I like developed an
worked
understanding
your way
of
up.
different styles and all that sort of stuff, I'm like, oh, I can appreciate what that was and what it was
Yeah.
trying to do and all of that. And that was kind of like one of those beer stories where I was just like, oh, like
Yeah.
is very
moment.
that moment.
Yeah.
And then, now I can, if I wanted to, like, have a beer that was in that style category and that type of bitterness, like, I can have it and appreciate it.
Right.
But then I can also have a hazy and be like, I like this and appreciate this
Well,
too.
there is
Yeah.
a
But
certain
it's just
amount of like
being
palate
able to
fatigue
do
that
that.
happens from beers like that too. Like you drink it and you can only drink so many of them.
Right.
Whereas, and it kind of goes back to the not really thinking about it.
Like what you were saying with the chronic, you're like, oh, I could just drink
Yeah, you
this.
can't
Yeah.
drink. You can't
Yeah.
drink 10 beers that are so aggressively bitterly hopped.
Yeah.
Not you shouldn't drink 10 beers, kids. Don't drink 10 beers.
No.
But you
Supervised.
you know what I mean, though. It's a little bit easier on your palate. Doesn't happen
Yeah.
as much. But speaking of,
One last beer, and then before our sign off, what do you have for us?
So I have one of our like cult classics. It's one of Paige's favorite
One of my
beers.
favorite beers
It's one of my
ever.
favorite beers.
I can tell because you like melted over here in your seat.
This beer is called Bacon and Eggs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have a story. Well, kind of a story about this one too. I was on a kickball team.
You were drinking bacon and eggs, Vavi?
Yeah, a Vavi kickball team in OB. And one of my friends who was on the team with me,
Scary looking.
he worked at
Don't be afraid.
at AleSmith. And and I knew about Speedway Stout, which is like also a coffee stout. And so but he was like, "Oh, give me the bacon and eggs." And I was like, "What? A beer bacon that tastes like bacon and eggs?"
That's
like,
what the government
what?
said too.
That's weird. And then, and then you drink it and you're like, oh, it goes with
It's a
bacon and
breakfast
eggs.
beer.
It's a breakfast beer.
So if you
So
are a
bringing
coffee
it all
drinker,
together.
yeah, it's my theme. That's probably why I've had breakfast in my brain all night.
I was like, you've been talking about French toast.
We're
and
having French toast for dinner.
Yep. Definitely coffee.
does that taste like coffee?
That tastes like coffee.
Like a Sunday morning?
That tastes like coffee with no sugar, no cream, no nothing.
It is bitter. Yeah. Okay. So there are coffee beers out there that have lactose, like milk sugar and vanilla bean and coconut and like all of those things. And they are like, I love them. And we make some as well.
My boyfriend
This is
would
a
love this.
straight up
'cause he
bitter
drinks
coffee
his
beer.
It's a bitter
black.
coffee. Yeah.
This
is like cold
it.
brew.
This is like cold brew.
Yeah.
It's
This is
fantastic.
But it's like those familiar flavors, right? So again, like beers that you wouldn't traditionally think of as gateway beers. So somebody walks into a brew pub and they don't typically drink beer, but they love black ice or black cold brew, or you know what I mean? Like they like that bitterness.
Can I put my Baileys in here? And
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there will be zero judgment here.
yeah.
I would have brought some if I thought about it. I'm all, hold on. But yeah, it's, and I encourage any listeners out there that if they are not beer drinkers, but they have, flavors that are nostalgic for them or things that they enjoy, that could be a good segue. Like definitely a gateway,
Yeah.
but more of a segue into like, okay, not all beer is bad. Like there are things that I can pull out of these different styles that might not be, It might be because there's an adjunct in it. It might be for whatever reason it is, whatever gets you into it. It's just also like, I'm one of those people that like the more I learn about something, the more I like crave it. So I'm like, oh, I know that, beer is made of 4 main ingredients and that it's like baking and it's very technical and scientific. And you use these 4 ingredients and you can be purist with them or you can add other things and all of the different things that can happen with temperature and time and 4 types of ingredients is mind blowing. And the more you learn about that, the more you want to like taste the different ways that people are using those things. So
and I love that. I love like all of these selections that you guys brung. Thank you so much.
We did it!
Yeah, we did it.
Natasha likes beer.
I do.
Heard it here first.
I do.
Heard it here first.
I do. Quote me. At me and quote me.
We can add her. We can add her.
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
At me and quote me. I definitely appreciate you, Jill, coming in and bringing us these beers. I mean, of course, Paige obviously has been melting for some of these beers. She just bring her back to her earlier beer drinking days. But yeah, like now I know, especially this mango tahini one.
Yeah.
This is probably the one that I'm going to take. This one's going home with me.
Yeah, it is. It's fine. You can take one of these for your man.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely love these. And thank you so much for coming in,
you so
taking
much
your
for
time
having me.
and doing this.
what
We
a
gotta have
pleasure.
you again.
I would
We
love
have to.
to.
Now that I know that there's other things,
There's so many things.
Yeah, I definitely have to. We have to have
like
you
a
to come
vault.
back in. Yeah, I love it. And so very knowledgeable. Thank you for giving that knowledge to our listeners because this is what this is
My
about.
pleasure.
And also incorporating why these things have brought that community because that's what your story also brought about too is that community of it of like what I knew I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
By these particular things that were happening.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
absolutely love that.
Oh, it was such,
Yeah,
so
and
nice
thank
to
you,
be
Paige,
here.
for thinking of me and in the time that you just picking out
She
these
called me.
beers
She's
with
like, "We
Jill.
have a mission." I was like, "Copy that."
I heard the calling.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We're here.
So all our advanced drinkers out there, please let us know which ones that you have tried and let us know what you have thought about them. If you liked them, if you didn't like them, let us know.
Yeah.
And kind of
All
go
feedback
from
is
there.
good.
All feedback is good because I definitely gave mine today. Even the bumpies. All of it.
It's great.
All of it at
It's
that
great.
time. Yeah. So signing off, this is Odd Pairings.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thanks for listening and watching Odd Pairings. So please subscribe, like, rate,
And comment with your favorite drinking stories and curiosities about adult beverages.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I'm going to happy hour. Who's driving?
I'm gonna walk.